There. Yeah, welcome to Coffee Compiler Club. I'm going to whine at Google. At 80% with mini gigs yet to go, you denied me the ability to send emails without any warning. No, you are hard blocked at 80%. Hard blocked, so you cannot send an email now. And so I can't send emails to anybody. Wow. What a pain.
Wait, what happened? You have 80% of your storage used, but you still can't send emails?
That's correct. I have 80% used. So and I use an additional 1% every 3 to 5 months. It creeps up very slowly. Like at the current rate, I have 2 years before I'm going to run out of storage. And I can't send emails. So that was my complaint to Google. I don't know if you'll get it, but I hope you do. And then of course, the things that they're saving onto and do storage on are things that I don't care for and I can't get rid of easily, and I'm trying to get rid of them while trying to send mail. And then my next complaint is to Zoom, who decided that since I was on a work account just prior and I exited the work account to start Coffee Club, I was still on my work personality somehow, and therefore I could not start Coffee Club because I'm not the host. Even as I'm the same email, same place, same link, same. I'm not the host because somehow it was works Zoom account. So Zoom, you need to sort that out. Wow. And so that took me forever to get this coffee club going this morning. Okay, I've done whining. Fuck it. Pardon my French. And I think I'm even recording on purpose. Yes, I'm recording that as well. So there's my bug report to Zoom. Fine. Now that we're here, does anyone want to talk about the compilers? Oh, jeez.
I hmm,
Okay, so I want to start. You can sort yourself out, Ryan. So I'm working on hashgraphs, doing smart contracts and faster execution of smart contracts, and it's just going well. I mean, there's nothing more to report. It's just like it's a very poorly designed virtual machine for performant computing. Maybe it makes a lot of sense for trading money computing. It's not clear to me that it does, but it's clearly not designed for performance. And then the implementation was a lot worse. So I'm just cleaning up the implementation details right now.
What the VM again? Is it something known or
Oh, that it's not geared for
what?
performance?
No, no. What's the VM? Is it something like Ethereum or?
Uh, it, um, Yeah, I think this is essentially the open source Ethereum VM. Hashgraph has a version, but it's essentially a clone, except they have a bunch of extra custom bytecodes for doing custom contract work,
I
like
got it.
10 custom contracts. So I'm looking at essentially the Ethereum virtual machine, and it's just not done well for performance. Um, And so I'm just redoing it to get a faster, more performant VM out of it. And by VM, I mean bytecode interpreter. Uh, they do all kinds of crazy things in there, and mostly it's like supremely allocation heavy, like ludicrously allocation heavy for an interpreter. And so you do any of the performance work, and up pops that you're out of memory bandwidth, and you suck because you're allocating yourself to death. I mean, the GCs are all fast and furious and tiny, and you're allocating a huge count of things, and you do the math, and you're just out of memory bandwidth. So it's the classic, the GC costs are cheap and yet I run slow, and that's bandwidth. John is trying to talk me to look at something else, somebody else's network. Oh, it's a VM for what? What is this VM, John?
So I haven't really looked at it, but I have some friends that are working on it. It
Oh, I see.
seems like it's a similar thing. It's a VM doing smart contracts. They're trying to do like gaming, smart contract gaming in the cloud. Uh,
Yeah, right.
you said slow computing, and thought about, I was like, oh yeah, I heard of another
Right. Well, there's
thing that's,
there's getting consensus amongst your miners or whatever all agree that it'll take your change, but then there's just executing the thing, and it goes and asks a bunch of questions about how much Bitcoin it has and how much Bitcoin it's going to give to somebody and take from somebody, and what the current market price and this and that, whatever they do, what are they going to do? and then they execute the contract, and everyone agrees on the how the contract gets executed. Where did that window go? Come back here, and then get the other window.
Yeah, this sounds like a similar thing. This is from Bram Cohen, who was the guy who did BitTorrent originally. His smart
Oh,
contract is proof of storage instead of proof of work. That's Chia.
okay,
Um, and yeah, and they're also doing this distributed virtual machine thing. You can imagine,
right.
the certain types of gaming applications, you get consensus on,
Yeah.
what the
This
moves
is
are.
the
You can't cheat.
language. Is there a discussion about the execution model? What are they executing with?
I think it's their own VM thing, but I'm trying to find where that's actually
This
defined.
is like a common list variation or something. I mean, I have no idea. I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
yeah,
Like,
that's the high level language, but I'm not sure where the
okay.
actual.
Like
Uh,
the Ethereum folks have a high level language called Solidity, which looks like a really bad, really bad way to describe programs. I mean, it works great for contracts, but it looks like a bad way to describe programs. And then they boil it down to the Ethereum VM, which basically looks like RASM, kind of. You get a flat memory space. There's no pointers. So you have integers into a flat memory space, integer indices into a flat memory space for your computing storage, and a kind of a lame ass
Isn't part of
stack
the
model.
goal that,
So
can you hear me?
whatever it is, it is. I don't design the language. I'm just going to make it go. And definitely things can be done to make it go faster than it is now.
Can you hear me?
So that's
yeah, we
my
can hear you,
Ethereum
Cameron.
update. Oh, Cameron, you're talking. You are same problem with before. Your mic has been very quiet.
Yeah, let me try a different mic here. All right, how's this?
Oh, it's a different mic.
All right, so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's better.
one of the things with Ethereum is it's supposed to be able to prove halting.
It's supposed to be what?
You're supposed to be able to prove that it terminates within a certain number of
Yes.
cycles.
You really are very quiet, Cameron.
You are still very quiet for me too. It's better, but it's not good.
I'm blaming Steve Jobs.
Okay. So there's a gas, and every bytecode executed consumes gas. When you run out, you die. You pay gas for storage and gas for making a call out to another contract and gas for this and gas for that. And when you run out of gas, contract's terminated. So that's the termination guarantee. And it's just, hey, Gene, it's just getting all the, it's like very bit fiddly to get the gas numbers right, but
All right, how's the audio now?
oh, much better.
Better.
Cool.
Yeah. So most of the contracts I look at don't actually have any loops in them. So, but you have gas for that.
So
Yeah, we
Cameron,
were
did
trying
you
to come
did you
up with a
look
better term than
did
gas
you
for that
did you
concept, but
did you look the last CCC, Cameron, with modules and stuff?
We talked modules a bunch.
Yeah.
If
I
you weren't
heard
here,
I did not have a chance to watch it though.
man, okay, fine. But nothing to report. I worked all week. That and Lisa's knee is on track for recovery, and it's slower than I would like, but it's the normal recovery rate. So I'm doing a lot of double duty as house husband.
Excellent. Good practice.
Yes, I have my friends in other places are sending me sexy male nurse outfits to keep Lisa entertained.
Nice.
Mm.
Well, you think you talk about tech on this kind of a show? I don't know. Ryan, did you ever figure out what you were going to say? You had something you were thinking of.
Oh, I was just I could if you want to talk about the idea with regard to like languages.
I'm sorry, the idea.
So like using like multiple different languages to express your programming language, like human
Oh,
languages.
oh,
So,
I barely do
so
English.
yeah. Me too. I only do English, but I thought this would be kind of a interesting
All right.
idea.
You can you express it? Otherwise, I'm going to switch over to build systems because I have a whine, a complaint, or
Sure.
a
I
observation.
could just can I share my screen real quick? It's a very simple idea.
Da. All right, try it now.
Okay. Okay. So basically, the idea is that you could have your keywords be translated into another language. So like I could put so
Okay.
you
Yeah.
can see here like translations, right?
I don't see kanji though. You got to do
Well,
English. You're doing
I don't
ASCII
know.
characters.
Yeah, it's romanized. But so like let's say I have um
Yeah, but I
some
mean,
set of keywords, right?
yeah.
And then
What's the I keyword?
that's like integer,
Huh.
like int 32,
Okay,
unsigned 32.
you win.
So you could have these
Ah,
keywords, and then at the top of your file you could just be like, so what I'm thinking is just like
yeah, yeah,
language,
something.
Quetzlang,
Yeah,
English,
yeah,
or
right.
like this.
I don't know.
This
There's
is
something there.
exactly my ideas. If you want to program in multiple languages, you prefix it on the top, and the
Right.
Well,
compiler
there's
will
something
do the
like that.
translation.
You can have in Racket, you can basically have a language to create a language, and you can have Python syntax and Lisp syntax in one program if you feel like it.
Yeah, and then became the problem of the naming of the functions because you still have to translate them, not just the language keywords, but the naming of the
You're just
classes
doing
and the
only
functions.
keywords, which prevents other parsing issues. But if you have Python and Lisp, you have to decide whether you're indenting or not for your any given indentation meant that you're doing a Python-y thing or Lisp with indent or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds more interesting.
So what do you think of this idea? Just like and then having all the keywords get changed into different keywords, and then
I
you could
What will it?
I would ask somebody who doesn't speak English as their native language, a
I'm all
programmer
for
who
it.
doesn't do English as their native.
Okay, I think I fit the description.
Oh,
So
yep. Okay, fine.
I'm all for it. What this is one of my ideas for something in the future, and it's exactly supposed to work like you describe it. But then
Really?
you have the problem, yeah. But then you have the problem for naming the actual names of the functions and the terms and the types and all of this. You
Can
have
you
to
do
find, yeah,
can you do UTF-8 naming and then it's just whatever UTF-8?
yeah. But what if you translate it to another language? If you're translating English to Bulgarian, you have to find a suitable name for the function, not just the keywords, and that becomes your problem because the name of the function is still in English, and it doesn't
Yeah.
help
Wait,
much.
wait. You're to write the name of the function using
Yeah.
UTF-8 characters, but it's going to be whatever
Okay.
sequence of UTF-8 that you want to have.
Okay, that's fine. If I start with my language and then translate to English, I will want a function name that is
You
representable in
want the
English.
function
Yeah,
name translated. Oh.
I think Theodore assumes that there is also this automatic translation. With keywords, you can just replace them. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Right.
wrote my program in one language, but you read it in your IDE in a different language. So this would
Okay.
work for keywords, but
Yeah.
for all the variables like function names, etc., this will not work.
Yeah.
Right. Huh.
And
Well,
you have
actually-
to.
mm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I
Matt.
mean, if the IDE does the translation for you always, all the time,
Mm,
what goes in GitHub as the permanent thing is the original. The IDE said, well, there's some original UTF-8 floating around. Here's an English translation, and we'll pretend that that's the name for now.
mhm.
And I edit, do my thing, and then it goes back to the original. Except if I write a new, I mean, you get this problem. Yeah, okay. You get this problem where you have names that you don't have an easy translation.
Yeah, I remember once I was debugging a customer problem, and they shared the reproducer, and I tried to understand what's going on. I started like I decompiled the class files. Like I don't understand what these names mean, and it turns out that all the names of functions and classes they were like in Norwegian or something like that. And it's really hard because when you understand the names, you can kind of figure out the logic. Like you can kind of
Right.
get what the code is doing. But I had to literally go and Google Translate these words to understand that, okay, that's some kind of transactions they're handling. This is the main method. This is the dispatcher, etc.
That's interesting. All right. All right.
I
So
would say, yeah, as another like person here who doesn't whose English is not native,
Yeah.
I don't care. I think I would prefer to have code in English. Just
Mm.
eliminate this degree of freedom. Let's stick to English for everything. It just makes things easier.
That's
But
yeah,
this is for like maybe it has some space for I don't know education. For education, maybe it will lower the barrier for those who don't speak English. Maybe they can like do things in their own language. But for I don't know for the industry, we'll
All right.
read
I'm
it in English.
going to stop the share
Yeah.
for the moment here.
Okay, what do you think of this syntax though?
Oh, just the language at the top? Quite
Well,
slight,
this
but
this part, like let's say I have like I write it in English, right? You
Yeah.
see here where I just have this like translation, so you could have translations for all of your functions,
Mhm.
or maybe it could be like
you're looking for a syntax that says, I want to read it in my Japanese, but here's an English variation you can use if you're not a Japanese speaker.
well, in this case, this is I write it in English, and here's the Japanese variation. But
Well,
yeah,
right, but assume that your native tongue is Japanese or Armenian or whatever it's going to be. You're going to work with a certain word, but you want to enable English speaking programmers everywhere who is the lingua franca of programming right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's an English word in case you don't like Armenian, Japanese, whatever. I'm just
yeah, translate into any language you want. You know, you could just add as many different translations as you want,
but you're
basically.
providing a translation in the source.
But
Yeah,
I wouldn't use them directly in the source. I will use like language bundle or some kind
Side
to
table.
map the
Well,
function, because that will increase the size of the source and
it
the
would,
footprint of the.
but the translation, the hard part there is that the good part is it's right there. It can't escape. The
Yeah.
bad part is you get a lot of redundant things. Every function, every variable, whatever, has a translation floating around.
Yeah.
I go to
That.
IntelliJ, I ask for a node because I'm writing a compiler, and suddenly I get 500 variations of nodes, and some of them have to do with Apache Foundation, blah, 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 that I've never seen before in my life. Whatever. There's a lot of ways to translate that.
but maybe it only shows like if you're in English mode, it would only show the English translation.
Yeah.
Mohammed, I think we're talking about a two-way translation here. Like,
that would become too hard, I think. The idea I think that comes to my mind is you still treat the English as a default presenting language, but you kind
I
of
see.
because it will become cumbersome to converse with English non-English. It becomes kind of the exchange protocol, the name, the English, and then you translate your language to.
Now I'm trying to answer Mohammed's question in the chat, and the goal is to have a non-English speaker programmer, which is what Arthur just ran into, right? He's trying to debug somebody else's program. Uh, comfortably write his own language. That makes sense. Followed by talk to some other programmer, Arthur in this case, and get across what's going on. And the lack of translation was a real hindrance. And so now add the translation somewhere in the text, in a side bundle, something. And then because you add in my head, not putting words in anybody's mouth, in my head, you add that translation because these translations are never straightforward. They're not perfect always. And so you need to say something specifically about what it is, because there's a whole lot of ways to translate node. That's my example, but it could be transaction, which is what Arthur just said. A whole lot of ways to do a transaction, the word, the meaning. So have something there to help with that That being
It won't
said,
be straight translation because most of the concepts in English doesn't map really well to other languages,
right.
and it's more akin to interpretation. But if you don't have that, you can try to use automatic translation if you don't have the
IntelliJ.
Another thing with these kind of technical terms, I noticed that in Russia, different groups come up with different dialects because, there is no natural translation. And some groups would stick to just English words and use them in Russian speech.
Yeah.
Others would come up with their own dialect. And when talking to them, I understand what they mean, but it sounds funny. And I think it will be difficult to come up with consistent translation because, different groups would use different dialects.
Wow. Okay.
Same in Polish and in Danish. And there's also the problem that different translators, as Arthur mentioned, have different preferences, and some terms are not translated one-to-one. Like loop can be translated to something that is the same word as cycle, but cycle is not necessarily a loop, and that subtle distinction is English may be lost in translation. And then if you want to Google the term, even if you translate it back, you may be Googling for the wrong thing.
And on top of that, you have the keyword length because you have to be competitive with the English naming because two, three letters are enough to describe something, but they don't easily map to the other to some other language. And in my language, some of these things are quite big, and I would never use them, and that really prompts the developers to use the English words as is and try to put their to my language connotation in them, and they become bastardized versions of the English versions, and it's not pretty. So you have to find the short names that map exactly to the concepts.
So what I'm hearing is that there's no easy answer here.
Yeah.
Well, what about you have I kind of did something similar in mine where the I is like MU. So I took the word for integer basically in Japanese and then I just shortened it to like the first letter.
Yeah, that's a way, but it doesn't always. If you have always two letters for the keywords, you want something bigger, something more descriptive.
Yeah, it won't always work that way. And taking the first letter is not always the correct answer in all situations either.
It's not.
Well, I did it for the I versus U thing because it's like mu and se or say. I guess I don't know how to say it. I forget.
But I definitely will try to see what comes of it because I love my language and I want my people to program in their own language, and that it's not easy for sure.
So you speak Russian?
Nope.
No, sorry, Danish?
No. It's
What?
Bulgarian. It's kind of Cyrillic. Okay, that's it.
Say that Cyrillic.
Cyrillic.
Yeah,
Cyrillic.
Okay. Maybe you can translate all the keywords for me.
Yeah, I can try.
Yeah, I still have to finish deciding what all the keywords are going to be though. So I'm not ready.
What I'll tell you, Ryan, is that I've seen this done a few times, and every time the result was worse than not doing anything. So I would warn you to talk to people who speak different languages and program, particularly those that program in international teams, because I think the answer here, although it doesn't exist yet, I think the answer here is probably in the IDE. That is not a persistent form of all this information, but something that shows them if they need it, they can hover over something and it tells, whatever it is, like, or it puts it in a different color box or something to show them it translated it automatically, and then they can hover and see the original, whatever. Like,
The presentation.
That's a way. That's a way to go about it.
Because I think it's going to be in the tool, not in the language.
Not in the language.
So I think you will regret. I think every ounce of effort you put into this will have a significant negative impact on the result.
Yeah.
And I think that's somewhat unavoidable.
Very, very strongly worded, but okay, yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah, but what about people that don't speak English?
Mm.
I mean, they
What
Can't be
can't.
a
about people who
programmer
don't
and you
speak
don't.
English?
So,
If the IDE
Ryan,
shows them the stuff in their language, what's the problem?
Ryan, when you start to learn to program, that is inevitable. But I still know a few people that kind of are good at programming, and they are not good at English. But one inevitably comes with the other, because
Oh, it depends on the country. I think for us it's true because we are from Europe, but from what I heard from Japan, there has a very large community of Japanese on the internet that we can go very deep into technical topics like LLVM, MLIR. I've encountered some of the dots, all of this is in Japanese. So in a way, they are almost self-sufficient. It's never true that you are self-sufficient, but you can have a long career without speaking English and
that
actually deep career, like advanced technical. So that
that's
was
right.
surprising for me to learn because before I encountered that, I thought it was like in Europe that everyone learns English because you have it in school and you are never self-sufficient. You learn from English books, yada yada yada. But no, you can have an entire career where you don't actually speak English. So that was
Right.
interesting.
But the point is, if you have a language that gets used by someone who speaks English and someone that speaks Japanese, having that language have multiple forms for doing the same thing, and you're fucked. Right? Having an IDE that
Yeah.
shows your Japanese language in English, great. Or more commonly, your English language in
As
Japanese.
soon as you have multiple
Right?
forms, yeah.
So having it be transient information that's provided on demand is dramatically less
Yeah.
self-fucking than
It's the
having a
single
persistent form that
Yeah,
is
I kind of agree with that because Matt, I definitely hit on the translation of some English concept,
all right, John,
English
you should put these
concepts.
links in the
Yeah,
doc.
it's,
He's pointing out
and,
Oh, okay.
APL.
yeah,
Screw all
Yeah,
your kanji and your English letters. Hell, just go straight to the
yeah,
Greek.
yeah. Because I mean, it's so. I mean, this is a very interesting topic to me because I love natural languages and I love learning about natural languages, but I am a native English speaker, so I don't have that perspective. Um, however, and
Hmm.
and I definitely like the idea of making it easier to program in if English is not your first language, and I think it's a great thing to do. Uh, but at some point you have to think a little bit about like for experienced programmers, whatever your first language is, at some point, you write for loops, you write these little things, and you're not thinking about the English meaning of the word. And I think a lot of people get to that point. You kind of have the mathematical concept of a loop in your head, and you just kind of do the code.
and
And
John, it's actually the concept is in English, and it's a funny thing because you start to think in English and you try to translate that concept in your head in your language, but it doesn't map one to one. So you constantly try to figure out something that exactly describes this, and often is the case. There isn't such a thing, so you have to interpret it at some point.
I don't think I was going through English. When I was like a single digit year old, I don't know, 3-year-old or 5-year-old, I was learning Atari Basic and I was just learning Atari Basic for next loop as a one construct. And I didn't necessarily know what form meant or what next meant. It was just a random abstract keyword for me that I memorized as a young kid. But I was not going through English.
Yeah, you just use it as symbols, like in math. You use symbols. You don't necessarily
Yes,
give that
exactly.
meaning in natural language.
Yep.
yeah, and that's the thing is like, so if you spend some time with APL, which I don't know, I
Yeah.
guess a sign of my burnout at my last job was I started learning APL, and it's kind of fun because yeah, you don't have any English at all as far as I know in APL. There might be some that I'm forgetting.
No.
Uh, you can create variable names, but it's all symbols, and so you're not thinking in a language, in a natural language in the same way.
And yeah,
So
it's the point for your language as well. So you're not thinking in like classical imperative programming either. it's a good mind shift to try every now and then.
So Ryan, do you speak Japanese?
No, I don't.
Okay, yeah.
But I just kind of picked it up as I'm trying to learn it, but I'm not very good at it. So
I used to speak and write and read some Japanese, and it's everything you think you know about language, you can just throw the frick out the window because Japanese is not like that.
I had heard.
むず、難しいですね.
Look
It's
at this.
yeah, there's so much context. Like you have to craft the words based on things that are completely different than other languages, like, the level of the other person in society, and
Yeah.
because it's yeah, like
There are three formalities that they teach, but there's actually five in total, and one of them almost only exists literally in the palace itself. Like it's basically never used outside of the confines of the top family in the country. Weird stuff.
Excellent. Just goes to
Yeah,
show
I mean
we don't know everything yet.
assumptions that we make about how we turn words into programming things are not necessarily going to be, they're not going to necessarily have equivalents. And I think that goes for almost every language. Like the way you approach things is different. That's why I'm saying having something at the tool level that helps you do it would be quite useful. But if you're putting into the final form, the amount of complexity you're adding to the tool chain and everything else becomes quite unwieldy in a hurry.
yeah, and just to be clear, like I think this is definitely a problem worth tackling. But if you take some existing languages and basically find some way of doing kind of token mappings for specific natural languages, and make sure it's one to one. So you know hey Magic, if you want to look at the Linux kernel in your natural language, you basically just do that because you've defined kind of a natural language overlay for C. And now, hey, you've made you open up all of this existing code that is worth reading.
I'm going to interrupt briefly. Matt, your link to the Citroen language is not working for me, which I would like to
Works
go.
for me.
I hear you. I got a invalid link here. So Wikipedia versus Wiki.
Oh yeah, that's Zoom formatting. Wasn't even realize it was formatted. Put the link to the language itself.
I find a Wikipedia link.
Is that a local? Is that a
I'm gonna
local
change
name
the-
you have, Matt?
Exactly.
I'm
It's
gonna-
interesting. Apparently, it's a language that is designed to be translatable, and it supports 111 human languages.
The seventh link.
Designed to be translatable to every written human language.
So they're not doing the
localized
Python
keywords, localized numbers, and localized punctuation. That's actually a good point because numbers also have to be localized. Like in India, you group numbers in the group of 4. You don't group them
Sometimes.
and you talk in crore. In English, you group in group of 3. And of course, then there's the British English, American English, and
then there's commas
European
versus
English.
periods.
Yeah,
commas and dots.
That's the easiest distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to localize numbers. That's actually far more interesting problem.
But
than the keywords.
at least everyone around the world uses the same date and time system.
Oh, sure.
Not in the same format.
Internet time, of course, right? That's what we
Yes.
decided in the 90s on IRC, and I assume everyone else just follows because I haven't checked since then, but it was the conclusion in the 90s.
Long story, but one time I had to do something with time zones, and instead I found it easier to prove that P equals NB.
Yes. Uh-huh. I did throw the comment. I'm going to repeat here a Python indenting for a right to left language. Go read the other way. Now, do you want to translate the Python indent the other side of the screen? I, you know, All right. What else? I'm going to switch over to build systems. Lunchtime, doubly so. Yes, time is an illusion. I have a short thing on build systems. We can talk languages. I don't care.
8601 is a good answer, John. That's what I use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dealing with so many build systems lately, both
Excellent.
internal and external, that I'm if you have any venom, I'm here for it.
So I do, and it's the standard Venom, and the surprise for me was that it was well received at hashgraph. And that's, Gradle sucks. Um, I edit one file in the Java in my IDE in Java, and a Gradle build to compile and get to where it'll launch the test is a variable number between 1 minute and 10 minutes. Um, and it's kind of random. I can't really nail down if he decides he's timed out some internal timeout for configuration, it stretches it up a bunch. If I do back to back to back after 3 or 4 goes, it gets down to about a minute. But this is just for one file. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Gradle? So I've talked to people at Hashgraph, and they're like, yeah, this sucks. Gradle is like bad. I mean, a bunch of people complained about even simple projects trying to set up and start. And the documentation has the world's largest volume of documentation that says nothing. Um, and so we were batting about Bazel versus Ninja versus Make. Apparently, the JDK moved over to Make builds a decade ago and are enjoying them. I use Make in my Java projects all the time. And there was another, people pulled up CMake. There was another one I'm losing as a potential, maybe, we should,
Wait,
BLD,
CMake in Java? What?
oh, Maven.
Maven
Yeah,
is
no,
B.
not CMake and Java, but we're talking build systems in general. And the project for what the piece I need is compile this file, launch a JVM, launch 2 JVMs and have them talk to each other, and then I'm going to intercept with the debugger. And at H2O, when I was doing distributed development with nodes, and I wanted to fire up multiple nodes, so you had all the networking communication between the parts and yada yada, blah blah blah. This would be done in a makefile and would build and run and launch in much under a second, quarter second, 10th second. 2 JVMs come up, they'd handshake, done. We attach with the debugger and be off you go. Not a minute, 10th seconds. This is a huge difference. And so now we're talking over with people at work, and there's like CMake and Make and Bazel and Ninja and Go's tasks. Does anyone have any experience with these? I have my Gradle experience. You cannot change my mind on Gradle. Gradle.
I mean, the bad news is I like Gradle more than many of them, but 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 that's just me. Yeah, so I do have experience with CMake, but CMake is weird because it's this it's this kind of meta language which then emits make files
It's my fly. Yeah.
yeah, or Ninja, and it has a lot of the same weirdness of you kind of describe the shape of your build system, and it's handy for certain things. The thing I really liked it for is when I was doing multi-platform C++, and I don't want to have to remember the linker options from Microsoft versus, versus Mac versus the Linux. And so you could just say, hey, make me a shared library. And so you give it kind of high level things like make me a shared library, and then it will figure out, and I want it, and I'm using these compilers on these platforms, and it will figure out how to, what all the magic arguments are for all the things. But it's still kind of weird and annoying in a lot of ways, and is definitely kind of focused on C and C++. As far as I know, it doesn't do other stuff. Maven, I feel like Maven and Gradle are pretty I haven't used Maven a ton, but it's just kind of like instead of instead of writing in Kotlin or whatever, Maven is pretty similar to Gradle, except you're just writing XML.
It was groovy for Gradle until it became so non-groovy-ish or something.
Yeah, it's Kotlin now.
And I knew Maven was XML, and I don't like XML. And the question is, do I hate Gradle or XML worse?
So
Yeah.
the
Oh,
motto
good.
for Gradle is hold my beer.
For how long?
So Maven's like, look how complicated we can make this in XML. And Gradle's response is, hold my beer.
Ah.
I'll show you. You want complicated?
Yes, it is stupidly complicated for reasons that make no sense to me.
But the great news is that you have 600,000 pages of documentation to support you. So you now know that the get method returns a value that it was gotten. And the set
Well
method
spoken.
sets the value.
Yes, well spoken. Oh God, can I shoot somebody now?
So yeah, I don't know. Make files are still pretty good. That's kind of where I'm at.
So the last time I had to debug something in Gradle, it took me 2 days using an AI.
Oh,
And it was impossible without the AI. So basically what I did was step by step, would ask the AI and it's like, well, this is what you should do. And I'm like, no, don't tell me what I should do. Like, explain why this thing does this. And after 2 days of back and forth, I got through it and promptly wiped my memory of the entire process.
excellent. Except that you knew that you could convince an AI to explain something about Gradle.
So in Perl, we used to call it a write-only language because once you wrote it, if it didn't work, you just threw it away and started again.
Yeah.
So Gradle is an AI-only build tool.
That's really sad. Oh my God. Okay,
and I believe my experience has proven this, although I could just be stupid.
No, I'll be stupid with you. I have plenty
One interesting build tool is Mill by Lee Hui. I haven't seen in any other any other build system.
Or put the link in or something.
Yeah, the eighth link in the docs, because he has a fresh approach about what a build system. Yeah.
This is
do any of you know Herta Bevan? Previously of Belgium, he lived in
Scala Easy Build.
He created BLD a couple years ago, which is a Java build tool where you write your build stuff in Java.
Yeah, that's kind
of. If you're doing Java
same
specific stuff, I'd suggest taking a look at it. I haven't used it myself, but
that uses kind of the same concept, but it's trying to squeeze the build concepts in OOP. It uses classes, functions, and overrides for the build tool, and it's kind of interesting take on how can you approach that.
I mean, I've written a build tool myself in Java to go build Java projects, which just does the atomic file stamps from the OS as your unit of progress or whatever. And then a little tiny Java class that just lists the dependencies with a whole lot of shortcuts to make life easy. Exactly, Java. Build.java.
Yeah,
you can make it.
I remember it.
Change it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, yeah, I remember it. I think that was like a Christmas week
Azul
hack.
Yeah.
Hack of yours. Yeah. A while ago, right?
It was at Azul, and that was like the second or fourth time I had done such things with good success. It was a very convenient thing. It was for hotspot. You have the compiler generator going on, so you need a couple layers in there, and then the standard compiler issues don't play well with a lot of systems. They do okay, but not great. And so the build tool couldn't handle that especially. It's all fine. And in H2O, we had the problem that we had to launch multiple nodes to do testing. And so the testing harness wanted to fire a node that was not the node that was running the test, and he wanted to fire several of them up with all kind of flags, and then you'd want to have that set up so it would fire and run, and then you could attach the debugger and catch it when it crashed and all that. And again, it was a situation where a little easier to wasn't standard, everyone's standards. You had to do something special to make that work. And then you're
I
out
think
of
there's a
that
simple build tool just waiting to get out.
somewhere.
I'm curious
Yeah.
why no one's ever built it.
SBT was once called simple build tool. But
Yeah,
once
didn't it become-
once it get complex enough, it was renamed to Scala build tool.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Because at one time because of you, I was trying to install Scala.
Oh.
And it wouldn't install on Windows. And then it was the simple build tool would hang hard trying to do something with downloading something into an admin privileged only place. And it wouldn't pop up the Windows admin request. It would just hang hard. And it had been known that way for years on the SBT forums. And it had been fixed and then broken and then fixed and broken. And I couldn't get Scala to install, not even to build. I couldn't get Scala to install on my Windows box.
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay. I tried for a weekend and I gave it up. Like,
Not a good
Windows,
experience.
I mean, Windows is still a large developer platform with millions of people.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
agree with
valid
that.
target, damn it.
Yeah. Well,
Fine.
yeah.
I'd forgotten about build.java, but other than I knew that I had done it and it worked. Fine. All right, what else? Oh, John, you were going to tell you had a bunch of experiences. What was your favorites? Favorites?
Oh, of the
Whatever. Favorite build experience, tooling, of development, of whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do end up coming back to make files a lot just because it's like, you just have a simple dependency graph and you can debug it. And
you can debug it.
Right. And the thing with Gradle is that, a lot of my experiences have been mostly positive in terms of like I'll find some snippet that does what I want, but then I'm like, okay, how do I, like, if it's not doing what I want, what do I do? And it's got all of these plugins and all of this other stuff, and that's where things get really complicated. So
Gradle is a reasonable build tool if all you're doing is compiling some Java files and putting them in a jar.
It can be, but in my case, it's not, because that's all the fuck I'm doing. And it's still taking between 1 and 10 minutes.
And it's
no fucking sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the overall things that leads to, kind of skullduggery and chicanery is, at my previous employer, Twitter, we had one of these, we had a whole internal tooling team, and, as an engineer, you would have the set of tooling on your development workstation. And of course, there's all these, all of these internal libraries and packages and tools and things, and you just want to pull some code and do a build. And because there are so many dependencies and so many different things, and all of the code is in flight, they put, caching everywhere.
Yes.
Was it pants? Was the two pants?
It was in fact pants.
I've used pants. Yeah.
They open sourced it, and it was originally like pants. They started with the ant build system from Java, but they were like, okay, we're going to re-implement it in Python and do some other stuff. Python ants.
Okay, now I get where pants comes from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty funny. That's cool.
And I think it matches the definition of the English word pants.
Yeah.
It's pants.
Yeah. So the weird thing is, because of the way they had it deployed internally, whenever you would do a build, of course, engineers don't want to wait 10 minutes for a build, so they would aggressively cache everything. Fine. But then basically at some point, like I was trying to move them to Java 11. And so they're like, okay, we need help with the tooling. We don't have the people. I'm like, okay, great. So I'm like, how do I do a make clean for this project? Because I want to, you know, like currently this example project is building on 8. I want to build it on 11. I want to just say, here's Java home, go build it. And they're like, you had this argument. I'm like, okay, it's still using cache stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, right. Because, and it's doing all of the stuff where it's like doing a local cache inside of the machine. There's a whole bunch of servers where there's cache. There's cache everywhere. And I ended up adding like 3 or 4 different options. And they're like, oh, we really don't want to have to rebuild anything. So we're really caching everything. And I had all of these options, and my command line is like 3 lines long, trying to tell it like, don't use these servers. And at the end of the day, they're like, yes, this will absolutely work. I do it. It takes a long time, and then I get the build, and I'm like, I still don't. This still doesn't seem right. So I od minus x the class file. I'm like, aha, the version number is in the actual class file. I could see that you were using Java C from somewhere else. And so even though the timestamp is newer on my host, you're still getting it from somewhere. And they're like, oh, they added so many layers of cache, nobody could figure out.
Couldn't figure it out. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I'm like, make clean is just one of the, like, get clean minus FDX, make clean,
and walk away.
Yeah, exactly. At least give me something deterministic before you add all of these layers of
I
caching.
had issues with Bazel on that, and then the Gradle I'm using has this problem that it populates and unpopulates giant caches constantly. That's part of the 1 to 10 minutes randomly. It chooses to populate or depopulate giant caches, and I'm like, why are you even here?
Determinism is a very, very big
Yes.
struggle that we have with build systems these days.
Makes no sense to me. I certainly strive hard for that. And I usually make my make clean map directly to remove the build directory / force, right? Just nuke and walk away. That's your cache, and you just nuked it, so you got a clean build now. Oh, we got Jim late arriving. All right, fine. All right, hey Jim, we're whining about build systems and complaining about Gradle and caching.
Okay.
And caching not related to Gradle.
All right. What are we at? 1 hour? Okay. That was my main.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the hour. You're off by an hour. Time zone, this, that. How does Google build? Okay, this is Matt. What did you put in? This one looks good, Matt.
It's an interesting post. It's an old one, but basically, if you ever have to do a clean build, it can be thought of as an empty pattern in the build system. It's not a problem with your build script. It's not a problem with your make file. It's not a problem with your CMake lists. It's the problem with the system. If it allows you to create such a CMake lists txt or such a make file, then the system is really suboptimal. And we haven't really gotten that far since then. They actually there is some positives in Bazel. I don't like many things about Bazel, but I do have to admit there are some positives. But most build systems are not very good at this.
Bazel had its goods and bads. I ran into both, most of which turned into being bad for me because I couldn't because the caches were delivering the wrong thing. And there were outside of Bazel caches also being involved. So I had Bazel get confused about what it was grabbing from because its caching was being confused by having another cache layer floating around. There's the Bazel comment.
So here's a little question. What would you guys think about like designing a virtual machine that exists for the sole purpose of being cross-platform and deterministic, for running build tools for like reproducible builds?
Java claims to be cross-platform and deterministic unless you add non-determinism. You can always add non-determinism, but that's true of
Right.
a bunch of things.
But like a virtual machine where you can't be non-deterministic, like it's impossible.
So you definitely want to run concurrently. You want to do parallel builds, right? So PMake is a thing that's very useful. Having run parallel builds, you can still get deterministic sort of in order results out, but you do want to use multiple cores and get parallel builds running. That's never been the problem for me. Not true. With Gradle, I have routinely had problems where he would give me out of date things, just period, out of date, just like complete Gradle brokenness. Outside of that, I never had a build system that wouldn't go somehow deterministic, except that I always had something going on that was like outside the person who made the build system happen. So a common failure mode would be someone has a tool that produces an artifact that has multiple artifacts. You want the one, so you mention that in the build description. Here's the artifact I'm looking for. But in fact, the build tool produces several artifacts. And it turns out the build tool secretly reuses some of those artifacts to improve its performance next go around. That's immediately a form of caching that's outside the knowledge of the build tool. And so the build tool doesn't understand that there's a non-deterministic caching process going on that's outside of its purvey. And I would claim that the VM that you're looking for there would be one that says, I have a random tool wherever it came from. I sandbox it in a directory structure such that everything it reads and writes I'm aware of, and I can either deny and say you have to wrap this build tool in another single step that gets rid of all the extra pieces it produces so it can't depend on them, or it has timestamps baked into them or something, it has something else going on there. You have to take the tool, which who knows what it is, call it GCC's driver over Clang or whatever the hell, and wraps it in another layer that says, oh, this guy produced 17 outputs. I only wanted this one, but he might be secretly using the dependency list he squirreled away to go faster next go round, except that's caching and the build tool doesn't know about it, so it doesn't catch that you're caching internally and screws up. That was biting me, effectively biting me at Bazel a bunch. At the prior, there were several things going on there. That was one of them. I'd have to go read this. Yeah, undeclared dependencies. So that I just described essentially a form of undeclared dependencies. Yes.
These are
Um,
relatively simple rules, but it's surprising how hard they are to get if you haven't started with them in mind.
yeah.
So like the main problem I'm thinking of here with like a deterministic virtual machine is how do you get multi-threading performance and be able to take advantage of it?
Oh, I did
Like
that before. I know how to do that.
like you could do map reduce kind of things.
Yeah.
But like
Essentially.
how do you embed that into like a bytecode and then get languages to add support for it?
Okay, so in the land of H2O Java, we want to do deterministic and giant concurrent parallel. And we did fork join, and we required that the join step always invert the fork step. So the two pieces can run in parallel, and they can fork and fork and fork and fork, and all things run in parallel, and 100,000 CPUs run in parallel. But then they join in order. And so effectively, it's deterministic every time, including up to round off error for FP adds. It's totally doable.
Yeah, so no global mutable is step number one.
Yes. The implementer of the parallel build for H2O parallel execution had global mutables. The users did not. In fact, in a cluster, there was no global. You had a node local, but there wasn't any cluster local or
Well, the point
cluster
is,
singleton.
if two threads can see a value and
Yeah.
either can change it,
Yeah.
you cannot have reproducible anything guaranteed.
This is what we solved for at H2O as the Java guy. Just to be clear, the systems people developing H2O exactly saw that and exactly looked for and unwound it. Right. So somebody finishes first and they mark an atomic space. Somebody
Right.
finishes
It's not the
second.
finish that's the problem. It's the challenge is that during the execution, you have two different threads using a value, say
Okay.
as a factor in a multiplication.
Yeah. So
And
yes, we
if
said
that
there.
changes and one thread changes it before the other, like in
Yeah,
one run, and then you can't predict that same result in the
yeah.
next run. Like
We
global
allowed
mutable is your enemy.
we allowed we had to use mutable. It was how you did shared memory. That's how you did communication across threads. We kept it internal to our own self into the platform for H2O, and we used those, and we specifically unwound. There was a mutable variable. People atomically updated it. There was always a known place where the last man was done, and we could tell, okay, now we're done, and so we could now proceed to the next step. So there was a point where we removed the non-deterministic finish and made it a deterministic finish. But you had to do that. That was how you did the concurrent programming. The consumer wrote random math, junky math code, and we auto parallelized it. And they had no clue about overlapping, concurrent, this and that. And they could not write code. The language didn't support writing code where you would read and write into the same global variable in that way. So we didn't export that, but we used it internally because that's what the hardware gave us. So this is your decision point. Are you allowing the end users to see that or not? If you're building the tool that says they don't see it, you have to have access yourself.
I'm wondering if there's a way to kind of expose the concurrency to the programmer, but also maintain determinism. And
Well,
the only
we
thing that I've been able to think of is like atomic transactions where you kind of just like try something and then roll back and then be like, okay, we'll count the number of instructions and or something.
we essentially did that kind of a thing. So the fancier concurrency you could reach for would be instead of fork and join of two things, fork some number of things, and then they would join in any order. And you lost the bit for bit reproducibility on FP adds for the reduction of the end, but you would get a. I'm done here. I was what we would call bulk synchronous parallel. Single threaded, bulk, parallel, join, carry on. That style was another way to get parallel. You get these choke points. If you don't have them too often, it's all good. The thing that okay, Matt's saying the same thing was the thing that I wanted to see out of my bull tools was some way to see everything it reached out for, the tool step, every file it reached out for, that's a dependency, whether you like it or not. And every output it produced was either mentioned by the make as what it was used for, or it was disallowed. And the user had to wrap their tool in another tool shell script to get rid of the extra shit and ran it in a sandbox. Whatever you could make an easy sandbox. And then Jim, why does Gradle 9 destroy Kotlin? I thought Kotlin was a language and Gradle is a.
Oh, well, there's like, so Kotlin 2.2 depended on the last version of Gradle 8, and then they upgraded that to 9, but left it in 8, and 9 is breaking. And so you have like, you have to go back all the way down to 2.1 to use an older Gradle because, JetBrains is all up into the new stuff and it's not even released yet. So I haven't messed with it for like 6 months, but they really toasted it. Anytime I have Gradle that activates, I wind up with 2 or 3 zombies eating up my entire core.
Yes, every now and then I have to go through and kill all the Gradle zombies. Another -1 Gradle. Yes.
Gradle stop or something. Yeah.
No. Kill -9. Thank you very much. It gets so bad I can't launch Gradle because he reaches out for a zombie and gets hung on it. And it's just like, come on, guys, time out, something, anything? No, okay.
Yeah, down the drain. It doesn't even matter which IDE is doing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's across your shells, it's across your background,
I
everything.
have to go into this command line and PS dash whatever pipe whatever kill -9, kill them all. Oh, and in fact, just yesterday, day before, I had to reboot my Windows subsystem for Linux. I had to kill my Linux container and restart it to get rid of a zombie Gradle.
Yeah, if you want
That
to
was
clean up
just
Gradle, you can always do CD// and then RM minus F star.
yeah, yes. Probably that would work eventually as well. On the other hand, I want to keep my source code to go again. I just want to kill the Gradle.
That'll
No,
solve
no,
multiple
no.
problems.
Indeed.
Well, okay, so Kotlin brings down an entire LLVM subset, which is, 3 gigs. So if you clear Gradle, you take a hit.
Sorry, if I clear Gradle, you mean?
Yeah, if you clear out Gradle, you also nuke the temporary LLVM they use for
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
That's another complaint on Gradle. Gradle clean would take minutes. He first has to rebuild his configuration in order to clean. And I'm like, no, you should rm-f your fucking cache and be done.
So just to be clear, Gradle clean doesn't do clean.
Yeah, it doesn't do clean. Like, what the hell? That, yes?
So, I mean, in the traditional sense of what clean does, Gradle clean does not.
Gradle's so bad, I went back to C++.
Oh, no. Okay,
So I like Snake and Ninja, but I don't see anything supporting PCH anymore. I used to.
Oh, you can still do it. It's actually really well supported in CMake, but yeah, nobody uses it.
Matt, what is this reproducible builds about?
Project on making builds reproducible. What are the rules? What are the things that go wrong? For example, in managing variants, if you go back to the link I have sent, you can see like what are the variations in the build systems.
Chat. You don't mean a docs link. This one.
Yeah.
Thought I was there. There, yes.
Yeah. Like imagine variants, what volatile inputs can disappear, stable order for inputs, stripping of unreproducible information. Say, for example, if you built on some system and you embed what was the username, you probably don't want that.
Well, I want to up level. Is this a tool or is this just a discussion of the problem of this is an organization dedicated to
it's more of an organization and documentation. Software practices.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. It's not a tool. It's
they do have tools as well, actually.
There are links to tools. Here's JVM down at the bottom there.
They have success stories, and the third.
Oh, they have success. I saw that.
Yeah.
Arch Linux, Nix. Okay. Oh, verify reproducible builds. Well, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe.
Scala is at the bottom. So Scala is at the bottom.
Oh, it's in there? I saw Java.
Go all the way down.
If you go to the very top, you have tools. Some of them are pretty good. Like there's this default scope, for example. Can pretty much compare what has changed across Linux distributions. It's actually pretty good.
This one? The Arch Linux?
No, go to the top. You have tools on top.
Oh, gotcha, tools.
Yeah. And the default scope is actually pretty good.
Diffo scope.
The first.
I see.
After, below tools. Yeah.
What the hell is diffo scope? Huh. Okay. Okay. Oh, interesting. All right, fine. Fine. Yes, here, geez. Okay, yes. Interesting. Yes. Okay. Fair enough. I'm a little more excited than I ought to be otherwise because I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do at hashgraph about getting a better build, and certainly reproducible builds would be good. Diffoscope.org.
This is try diffoscope.
Right. Yeah, right. That's what I'm looking at here. Okay.
You have two packages like two RPMs. You can just drop them in there. It's gonna recursively unpack them and compare every single file. It has pretty good understanding of binary files, actually. When it's something like ELF or something, don't worry. It will definitely understand the ELF files. It will churn through their dependent libraries. It's actually kind of impressive that it has this understanding of recursive binary files comparison.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a ready to go compare these two things other than if I drop the same file in twice, which
They also have examples on the website, like they have something for Firefox packages, for example.
Okay. Very interesting. Make sure we're in the docs here, but reproducible builds and or diffoscope. And pants. Oh my God. So I thought Ant died. I was praising the day Ant died, but it just turned into pants.
Yeah.
All right, fine. And this is a guy who needs a video. I have to actually watch it. I'm not going to do that now.
Yeah, he's really interesting because the way he presents the ideas are pretty understandable, let's say. And it definitely worth. Definitely, if you can steal ideas or two.
Yeah, no, okay, I'll take a look. Fine. We clean out extra things here. Citron, variations in build. This is just a Lisp thing for it's not a build though. Is this a build description or is just a this is a build tool in theory. Auditability and security. Okay. Oh, no, this is the blockchain execution.
Yeah, this is the
Gotcha.
blockchain VM thing.
Yeah, the thing that went around with hashgraph was EVM was the first, the horse left the barn. So the EVM was the first and most common, and so there are infinitely better ways to do it, except you got to get everyone to have their contracts all written and running on the same system for the contracts to talk with each other. So there's the social thing, the big get bigger kind of thing. If you start a new platform and you want to use a new style of contracts, everyone has to rewrite their code in the new contract and play on the new setup, and that's a hard one to get people going on. So it's like Java bytecodes are the worst possible bytecodes except for all the others or something. It's just what it was. There's many better formats for bytecodes than Java bytecodes, except they're
There's
there.
actually this new research I posted talks to Splash and Uppsala just a while ago. It's like 481 talks, so knock yourself out.
Oh
To be
God.
fair, they are mostly lightning talks, like 10, 15 minutes. So basically, they go through the papers they have at the conference, and one of them is HEMVM,
Right.
which is a heterogeneous blockchain framework for interoperable virtual machines. And what they want to do is to things have like Ethereum VM, like EVM, interoperate with MoveVM, which has much less technical debt. It's actually a hard problem to make it perform well. So that itself was interesting to me, how many things can go
Yes. They
bad.
did
But it's an interesting problem. It's interesting that you can even do that.
the implementation of EVM, Ethereum VM is very, very, very heavyweight, whatever, excessive overhead. Having said that, should I clean all the crap out and get it down to sort of the fastest you can go, there's still a lot of overhead baked into the language implementation because of the limitations of the EVM that are just like pointless. Like there's no need for this kind of stupid thing, but you're stuck with it. So
Yeah,
I'll get rid of
EVM
a
is
bunch
used
of
as
it.
a motivating example of that old platform that has technical debt you want to migrate from. So
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that checks
right.
out.
Right. You have to talk however many people doing Bitcoin contracts to rewrite their Solidity code. That's part of it. Fine. What was this, the PDF here, as opposed to the video link? Oh, this is the paper directly. Yeah, make sure it makes in the docs. This one I actually should read because I'm going to be tasked with doing this probably at some point down the road. All the discussion about how these things work are all normal. I'm fast going. What's the move one? This is the move is the new guys or whatever. Uh, Move virtual machine. Okay. It's not clear to me that they're doing the right thing either. Like it seems obvious to me that you could just have all your contracts run Java bytecodes, and you add another verification layer to make sure that none of the bytecodes do cheaty bad things. And you add gas costs somewhere in there, and then you let the JVM just run it after it passes the extra verification layer that says I'm not breaking the VM, I'm not calling system.out.exit or print line or anything, whatever normal things. You're stuck inside the Java version of a sandbox. But then you have the JVM to do the execution, and so fuck it, you get fast all right away with no effort,
Roughly what we're working on.
which is what you're working on. Well, I talked you into that one. I still think it's the right idea, though. I still wish you had enough money to hire me back. I needed the money. I can't do it without it, but I was having fun. It's out there. There's a thing. We'll go see what happens with the hashgraph. I'm having fun here too. They have a. It was certainly a nice place to work at so far, at least. It's been pretty straightforward, pretty good. All right, I'm going to declare victory. I have all kind of things going on this weekend that I need to sort myself out on, and maybe I'll get my email working again. Thanks for nothing, Google. What the hell was that
Merry
about?
Christmas.
Yeah,
I've been running my own mail server since the 90s, which has mostly been a mistake, but every once in a while, people run into this stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I've probably wasted a ton of time doing that. But on the other hand, when it screws up, it's my fault and not somebody else's. So.
yeah, right.
I just use Proton Mail. So much better. But yeah.
I'll
Let me know if it
see.
doesn't work next week, if it's still broken.
Right. Yeah, I'll see what happens here. It basically means they just cut my mail saving number from 15 gigs to 15 times 0.8, just like suddenly without warning.
I found one thing that was eating a bunch of my Google quota was it was doing backups of my Android phone. Like there were all these
Yeah.
old, and that was just eating like gigs. It was,
Oh, really? I have
yeah.
them. They're not. I've been doing the check here. It's email, and it's like stupid pictures from people's signatures. It's like completely mindless things. Like I get spam, and the person who sorted out my home mortgage, and they endlessly send me new opportunities to buy another house. I'm you know I'm not that guy that has 27 homes and adds and subtracts homes on a regular basis. I don't know who that person is, but that's who they're marketing their mails to, along with this giant wad of a signature, and they show up in my spam box. Here's a few hundred megs. Here's another one. Here's another one. It's like, "Dude." And if you tell them, take me off your list, you just get thrown on 500 more. I thought, what the hell? Fine. All right. I'll sort the Google later out, or I'll change email providers. One of the two. It'll happen. Goodbye. Yes, it's time to go. All right.
All right,
Well,
thanks.
Jim, you're always 1 hour off. I know your time zone is weird, but you're always 1 hour off. Welcome to come around next time. All right. That's it. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.